This is Everly, Iowa, 1950s, late 50s, early 60s. It's a view from a tree in our yard, I believe taken by my brother Tom, but it could have even been me. I'm giving him credit. Looking at the elevator, looking down toward Main Street through the leaves. Sweeping to the east, where you can see Harm's Implement, their work building where my dad spent much of his time, a corn Quonset across the street with its howling wind turbine to dry the corn, twigs and branches in the way, the Standard oil tanks, the Champlain tanks, the railroad tracks, viewing out into the countryside as far as you could see over Iowa's good earth. Here's Main Street. Not many vehicles on it this day. International Harvester, where my father worked after I graduated. The grain elevator. Clark Implement at the time was not Clark Implement anymore. That was my uncle's. The restaurant we just passed was my grandfather's from 1926 to 1948. There's the post office. Much of this town does not exist like this anymore. If you could remember it, there's the Lutheran Church, also the Catholic Church after the Lutherans built a new one. This is the new high school gym. The bus barn. More of the school bus barn from the old bus barn, which later became the wood shop, back of the high school. The new elementary school, built when I was a boy. We still burn trash, you might notice. The playground in front of the school in the northeast corner. Everly High School, community high school, with its new gym. Some of the surrounding housing over on the southeast corner. My uncle used to own that piece of property, and my other uncle owned the other adjacent to it. There's the ball diamond, very much activity. I spent a good deal of time. There's the St. Mary's Church, later torn down for the new gym. Another view of the church. Storm clouds, some very turbulent, these being the precursor to tornadoes often. Fortunately, Everly has not had a tornado. It's had a few close calls over the years. Clouds like this can put fright into anybody's eyes. These are cumulus mammatus, a very turbulent wind pattern aloft. Sometimes these clouds bring severe thunderstorms and hail, crop damaging winds and smashing the leaves with the hail, a risk farmers have to live with. That's my dad's TV tower on the top of his house. This is a flood scene. You can barely make it out, but those are flooded lands south of Everly. This is the Everly City Hall. That's the implement shop where my uncle and my dad worked until 1959 when my uncle died. This is what I believe to be Main Street, but if it's not, then it's Spencer. And it's Crazy Days. It has the look of Spencer to me because you will see a shopping cart pretty soon. Well, I thought we would. This appears to be in front of Harm's implement to me, though. I don't recognize any of the people. But that looks like an IH and perhaps Dub Boils. And this is definitely International Harvester stock for sale in their implement lot. And here are some people, I presume, might even be us kids getting bolts ready so that Dad could start assembling this equipment. There is the mirror later, Mr. Knapp, and more Harms. Viewing this are some Everly people. Let me see here, Willie selling something. I'm sure he made the sale. There's Willie again, and Billy Zessinger. So that's Willie Hartman. Everybody knows who Willie is. And I think this was Jack Harms making a video of his own. Getting a higher view up in a bucket. This is Cub Scouts, the Indians. I'm sure almost every town in America had Cub Scouts that dressed up as Indians. More than likely associated with racism these days, but in those days it was a wholesome thing to do. And it was always observed by mothers, that one being Pat Droll. This is in my dad's yard. He painted these things right out in the yard. No paint booths. Always did a great job. Had a big old compressor. Here's my mom hanging clothes. Walton's shed in the background. Up the road comes Vivian Akis in her '59 Chevy. Screeching to a stop. And this is Larry Akis, home from the Navy. This would probably be about 1962. He went in the Navy when he was 17. And there's Dean, his little brother, and my brother Curb's buddy. And a few other Akises. This is at the Akis home. That was Melvin and Berna and Dean, Vivian earlier in the red. There's Vivian. This was his Christmas for the Occuses. Here's Dale Nellis doing the dishes, and Melvin having a time of his life, laughing it up. Here's Curb and Dean arriving back from some venture, probably at the river. Here's Dean smoking. Our house was a smokehouse. It was also known as Clark's Coffee House. Curb is roughing up Tiny, making him into an ornery pup. Here's my mom, and then my dad. I think that was Rick's head bouncing through, and there I am. Have no idea what I guess I'm roughing up the dog too. We like to rough up the dog. Uh-oh, looks like it's a tussle. Curb jumped me, and we're rolling over on the bed, and the result is he gets the headlock, and I get the win. Rick is practicing golf. I don't remember this at all. There's my dad with a new razor, an electric razor. I don't think he was too fond of it. He's looking at it like, oh, we got to take the cap off of this thing? Oh, that's it. Couldn't figure that out. Well, he's trying to get a good scrubbing on his neck, but that guy had a tough old beard. I'm not sure that razor did much for him. Played baseball in the backyard. Played baseball all over the place. Played baseball across the street, in the side yard, where the Quonset was after they tore it down, in front of the tanks, in the Waltons' backyard, at the school. We played baseball everywhere. That's Curb and Rick having a go at it. And Tiny just checking out the spots. There's my mom. One of the many cars we had abandoned in the yard, turned over, taken for parts. Another one of the cars in the backyard. And a rough old garage that my dad built. It lasted as long as he did. One of my cousins running down the street. That would be a stalker. More Tiny, hanging out in the grass. The mower probably wasn't working too well. Sometimes it didn't work worth a damn. Mom giving Rick some tutoring. Don't know that it made much difference. Rick didn't stay in school. I'm sure he was trying to tell Mom what was in the book. Mom doing some budgeting, perhaps, or just writing to a friend. She was good at writing letters and kept in touch with all of her old friends. This is pretty much the kitchen. Viewing into the living room, kind of dark, can't see much there. If you look up on the wall, well, there's one kid, probably Rick. Pictures of us kids all graduated, so it's after we've been seniors. New refrigerator. I think he was proud of it because it's in this video more than once. All this crazy old wallpaper and the obvious old plastic covered steel chairs with the Formica table, kitchen table that you could stand on and jump when the arm in. It's my Uncle Pete, of course shy, camera shy. That was Tom's two items by him that he built in shop. My mom, my Aunt Vi, and my great aunt, Nell, from Missouri, visiting. That was my grandmother, Clark's sister, Nell and Emma Hart. She was a really nice lady. I saw her after I went to college. Went to visit her. She really knew how to make a good breakfast. Bacon powder biscuits. That's her son, Pete, and his wife. No, that was Aunt Vi, sorry. Don't know who's got the kitty on her lap. Could be Mom. I don't think I ever knew this cat. And I don't think I ever knew this cat either. But cats were a staple in our house from the time I was a little bitty kid. We had Dagwood and Blondie and Puff and a lot of others. My mom's decorating the Christmas tree. So it must be winter. This would be the winter of 63 because actually the winter of 62 I did that drawing. It's a pastel of a speedboat that's on the tree. I did that in the spring of 62, so we can call this winter December 62. There's Curb looking over what he's gotten in his gifts. Looks like my brother Tom made it home. He's playing checkers with Dean. People finding out who does this gift belong to. And Mom, always saving the wrapping. Gonna use it next year, although it rarely got reused. Someone must have got a bottle of Four Roses. That would be my pop. Some kind of gadget that my brother and my brother Tom and Rick making, assembling some kit. There's Curb still toying with his new acquisitions. The Christmas tree, and of course my drawing done in pastels back on the wall. TV set lamp and the manger nativity scene. Animal toy balloons, remember making those? Kind of hard to blow up. There's Curb's giving it a good whirl. Yeah, you take a bow. Oh yeah, and give us a salute. Outside on a cold day, there is my 47 Plymouth, my first car, $30 I bought from Carl Bryan. Belonged to Jerry Holtz before that. Speaking of O'Brien, there's Harold walking by. Had a pretty good snow that day. That's a drift there. It's about 5 or 6 feet high. Coming in from the west. There's been bigger ones there. Tiny on guard. I think his feet were cold. Again, the Plymouth, 1947. No dents, but maybe a few scratches. And here's Tom's 47 Chevy. I got my driver's license in that car. It could barely idle. And Tiny says, "So long."